All right, Leo, so this is going to be specifically for those of you who are in a relationship with a person. Now, this doesn't have to be romantic. Soulmates can mean friends, it could mean family members, it could be a lover. It just depends on the relationship that you're in, but this is going to be for those of you who are looking for your independence within that relationship. There is a need to feel like you have more power within the union that you're in. And it's not that this is the end of a relationship or that anything bad is happening. It's just that you need a little bit more independence and a little bit more room to grow, because that's really what soulmates is about. So I want to be a queen or a king. Stating your sovereignty, declaring freedom, and passing a test, and then you have the soulmates. So now I want to be a queen or king. It says raising your status. You are taking charge of your life, making decisions for yourself, and setting rules and boundaries that work for you. Declaring your independence, becoming powerful and influential, wanting to embrace your potential, but wanting to do that within this union. But when you look at soulmates, it's always about making sure that both of you are growing, that there is personal growth for the both of you within a union, right? And again, this could be any kind of a relationship that you're having. But soulmates is about harmonious partnerships, love, friendship, companionship, in a relationship fostering that personal growth, which is the most important thing for me here looking at this. So for you, your personal growth is being able to be a little bit more influential and independent within the relationship. So I don't really see it as a bad thing, but this is where, you're kind of wanting to be right now. Instead of, being influenced by the other, but I don't really see it as a bad thing. I just think that, some of you are needing to kind of step up and take a little bit more control, right? So it's not bad, but it's about what is going to help you grow within a relationship or a union. Now, that connected to where some of you may be going dark makes sense. This one I know all too well. I used to say that I have paid for my fucking mistakes and then some. I don't deserve any more pain. But the realization there is that this is about self-punishment, continuing to punish yourself when you have already paid the price for a mistake. Now, atonement. The moon phase here is waning gibbous and the stage is depression. But then my question is when does depression turn to anger? And again, this is only going to be for those of you who are having that kind of difficulty right now. It says, accepting the full burden of responsibility, the fair as well as the unfair, with no discount. And it says, accepting pain is a way to survive the pain. Not all things burn, but some should. And then going dark. Atonement is about paying the bills, unadulterated, unfiltered, not negotiated. It's all about full and open acceptance of consequences and a little more. It's also about paying for the price of others, letting go of all ifs and buts and taking it all in, whether it's ours to take or another's to shoulder. If you have a piece of what puts you at fault, normally you would try to separate it and weigh it evenly with what makes the other at fault, and with what you made it right, a little for a little. But rarely does it move anything forward. Sometimes we need a clean slate, and it's done by going through it all, paying more than is due, to create closure for yourself and for others. You take the dark in so that others can stay in the light, even if they don't deserve it, even if you don't deserve it. And that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me. You don't deserve to continuously punish yourself for a mistake that you have already paid for. Right? And I get adamant about this because I know this place. I've been here. Self-punishment is horrible. It's a horrible place to be in. So if you feel like you have made a mistake and you have paid for that, there is no point in continuing to punish yourself anymore. Because like it says, it's just going to bring you darker and darker. And like I said, when does that turn to anger? Leo, your overall, the star, very nice. Very, very nice. Who else had this? I think it was Gemini. The star being the overall, same thing applies here. You deserve better than what you've experienced in the past. This is healing, hope, restored hope. And it's perfect as the overall. So no matter what is going on around you, there is a reason to believe that things are going to get better, that hope will be restored. Now, in the past, the Page of Wands, I see this as a good thing, especially with the star being there. This is like a new opportunity to take a road that you have not been down before. That's kind of how I see the Page of Wands, but it's exciting news. It's always the good things, the things that you want to hear, right? But it's about acting with passion towards something that you don't have a lot of experience with. In the present moment, and it's funny because, right, like you have Daenerys and then you have Jon Snow, right? The Targaryens. Come on. Anyway, the Knight of Swords in the present moment. I look at this as the opportunity makes itself available to you, and it's going to bring what you are wanting here with the star and some hope and some healing here. But the Knight of Swords is quick, without thinking action, abrupt action, right? Sometimes we look at this as being hasty, not having all the available information first. It could also be talking about direct, honest communication. But the way that I look at the image with this one is I feel like this is after that action, it almost shows, right? Like, I feel like this is something that should be in like the after tarot, because I feel conviction, like I've done what I needed to do, But there's definitely a lot of, the communication showing up between the Page of Wands and then the Knight of Swords. So an opportunity may have shown up and you may need to take quick action, but you may also have to communicate something very directly about your want to take a new path or a new road. And somebody is not understanding the Five of Wands in future conditions. And this is another one, too, that I look at as like what happens after, because it makes sense to people that are no longer talking, that the argument has been completely exhausted. But you're talking about the butting of heads here, right? It's not nearly as bad as the Five of Swords, but this is, you're not understanding me. No, you're not understanding me. And nothing gets accomplished. But right now, what's more important is what is going to create the hope, the healing, and the balance in your life. Even if that means that somebody doesn't understand where you are going, what you are acting toward, and what you are doing, and what you are saying to them. And that may be because they don't want to hear that, because I look at the Knight of Swords as the action that you are taking. And I say that because of the Page of Wands, and I can see you being excited. This is something that, you want to do. There's the passion and the drive. I want to take this road. I haven't experienced this. I have to do this. But somebody else is like, no. Your best path to follow, the Nine of Wands. There are times where I look at the Nine of Wands and I think it's about protecting yourself and your self-interest. But I also look at this as you've been through a lot. And, this is being worn out, but needing to be persistent. And sometimes with the Nine of Wands, you can see where people are blocking things out and not letting anything in because they have fought too hard to protect what is important to them. But, I look at this as don't lose sight. Especially with the star being there. Don't lose sight on what it is that is coming through to you. I almost look at this as something that you kept putting off to the past. I could have done this a long time ago, but now is the time. Especially if you're in a place now where you're just kind of like really worn out with everything that you've already experienced, But I look at this as directly related to the communication and misunderstanding that's going on here, right? Now, sometimes with the Knight of Swords, I look at that and think there could have been a different way to say what you needed to say. Because with the Knight of Swords, he doesn't give a shit about the response. I'm telling you this, and that's the end of the story. So it's not about what you have to say after that. And that may be what somebody's having a hard time dealing with. And that may be why they're not understanding you, But again, going back to the Nine of Wands, right? Don't lose sight. That's what I get from that the most. Yeah. And being very defensive and not willing to let anything else knock you down. But it may put you in a place where you're going to be extremely exhausted for continuously having to fight for yourself and what you want. I always look at the Seven of Wands as drawing the fucking line in the sand. This is not what I'm going to deal with anymore. This is what I won't deal with. This is what I will accept. But it's about fighting off the opposition. You know, what is it that you're fighting for here? You know, or do you feel like you're constantly being opposed, and is that why you're communicating the way that you are? Now, for some of you, absolutely, we could flip the script here, and it could be about the communication coming to you and you not understanding, but your overall here is the Star. So the perspective is a little bit different here. You know, so I don't necessarily feel like it's about somebody communicating to you and you going, I don't understand. I think it's you. I think it's you doing this because there is something that you are fighting for, you know, and protecting, and something that is important to you. And it's about your success. That's how I see this. Your hopes and your fears, the King of Pentacles. Now, I always say that when it comes to court cards in this position, I don't like it because it can suggest that your hopes and fears are surrounding another person. But because you are so like in battle here, I feel like it is about you and wanting to create success in your life and wanting to be in a position where you have something to offer. You know, because I kind of go back to this, I want to be a queen, but in this case, a king. And what you're hoping for here is to have continued success and to be able to follow that, even if it means that you have to take a path that somebody does not agree with. Because it's the bigger for you. I mean, this isn't the Nine of Cups here. This is the Star, you know? Now, as far as if you're dealing with, you know, and I do, especially with soulmates coming up here, because it's about, you know, somebody needing to understand that you need to do this in order for your own personal growth. And I think that this is what it's coming down to. But if we're talking about, you know, the King of Pentacles representing the other person here, you know, I look at that and I think that the fear is that they're not going to be able to, you know, give anything to support you. You know, because generally the King of Pentacles is going to be somebody who's very giving of their time and their resources because he knows how to maintain success. He knows how to create that. You know, but he's also the person here who likes to have his cake and eat it too. You know, but I look at this more so as you have to do this for you. You know, I feel adamant about that, you know, and it's a little annoying looking at another person not wanting to understand that, you know. And then coming out the Moon, and that bothers me. And I think that, you know, looking back at this, that's where I feel like don't lose sight. Yeah, because with the Moon coming out, this is where, you know, we go into the illusions. We get confused. There's the unrealistic fears and anxieties that are being projected outward, right? And it's clouding you. It's like a fog. You know, there is beauty with the Moon, absolutely. But the whole point here is to see your star. You know, and not to be caught up in things that are not real. But it may be because of a situation where somebody is disagreeing with you that you get to this point where you're like, I don't know now. Like, I'm not sure. And then the Three of Wands. But the thing is with the Moon, nothing is being made clear to you. So I look at the Three of Wands and think that maybe some of you are waiting for the right opportunity to act. But the thing is, you know, waiting is always a bad thing for me. I don't ever believe in telling somebody just, you know, wait when it comes to something so important. Wait to oh my God, if I could talk. Let me calm down here. It is important to wait before you pass judgment. Okay. That I hold true. But waiting to act towards something that's important to you, for what? You know, I mean, like I said, I feel annoyed at the fact that somebody is not understanding you. So first of all, the Three of Swords, right? Now, I look at that and think that definitely there's heartbreak in the past, because I look at that as connected to the past and why we're looking at the moon. But this could also represent, though, that you have been heartbroken over the fact that an opportunity has been missed. And I look at that as why you're taking the action that you are with the Knight of Swords, right? But the thing is the confusion is going to lead you right back to this, you know? So this to me is really about needing to get out of the fog and get back to a place where, you know, there is that forgiveness and that healing, especially with the star being there. But that only depends on what is being given and received. With the Six of Pentacles, we're talking about the equal give and take here. And I feel like the heartbreak comes in because you have given so much of yourself that when it comes to this one thing, it's like, why can't you give me a little bit, right? But then, like I said, with the Three of Wands, it's like waiting. You continuously wait to act on an opportunity that's right in front of you, and you can't do that anymore. Don't lose sight. Don't lose sight of what it is that's important to you and what you want to do, right? The Five of Wands is not that bad. It's petty. So if you're dealing with a person who's refusing to understand you, with the star being there, hopefully it's going to get back to a place where there's some acceptance and, again, you know, the hope and the healing. But then with the moon coming out, though, that's you doing that to yourself. And that's just straight up, right? But I understand given the circumstances here. You know, but like I said, this is only going to be for some of you here. But it is something that's so important to you that you're in battle over it. That is coming out big time here. Wow, Leo. But, you know, with the Three of Wands, right, you should already know what to expect. That's my big thing with this one. When you're looking out over that cliff traditionally, whether those ships are coming in and out, doesn't fucking matter. You should already know what to expect as far as what is coming at you. With the moon, you don't know what to expect, and that may stop you from acting. You know, you've already made the choice to act on a plan here, and you're already taking the steps forward, but the moon is going to stop you from continuing that path. And then play. And it's so important. It's so important. A lot of people take this for granted when it comes to their lives because we're so used to the daily drone. Get up, go to work, go home, do what you need to do at home, go to sleep. Get up, go back to fucking work. Right? It's the same thing over and over again. But in order for you to find tranquility and be able to heal your heart and spirit here, you need to be able to follow something here that's going to allow you to have fun. It's so important to have fun with life, right? Have those moments of play and a little bit of freedom too. And then grace and gratitude. Through gratitude, joy expands. So important, right? Like I always preach gratitude. Follow your star. That is so important in this situation, whatever that is, whatever new path you are wanting to take, the road less traveled, whatever adventure you're wanting to go on here, right? Follow that, because that is where your happiness lies. But, you know, with grace and gratitude, right, I look at that as how you respond to another person who may not like the decisions that you're making. You know, but certainly don't let them put you in a place of, I don't know if I should do this. Right? But definitely, you know, follow what is going to bring you that tranquility, the healing. It's beautiful to me. I love the reading, you know, and I'm trying to see the perspective of the person that you're dealing with. Like I can understand. But at the same time, again, it's about personal growth within a relationship for some of you.